Hey, good evening. What's happening? How is everybody this evening? It's good to see you. I am Bill Sylvie. I am your host. I am your Dungeons and Dragons buddy for the rest of the evening. And you want to know, this is an interesting factoid. I met a friend of mine today. Her name is Asia, and I could never figure out how she got that name. She told me it's something her parents thought up in the heat of the moment. I asked her if she was ever going to consider changing it, and she said only time will tell. But anyway, to move on. So we were supposed to have Sky Hernstrom here tonight. He was not feeling well, and I completely get it, man. You know, I drive myself a lot, believe it or not, for the show. And, sometimes I don't, I don't feel so hot. So, I certainly was not going to demand that he be here. So we're going to have him on when he is feeling good. And I need to get my banners going here. We're going to have him on. So don't worry if you are wanting to see Sky, he will be here. Just not tonight. Just not tonight. The Grand Poobah. I always thought that sounded like an island in the Caribbean. Like you got Grand Cayman, and then you can go to Grand Poobah. Greetings, Ricky. But speaking of someone who better be here, Ricky Maru will be here tomorrow, and he's going to talk about Morkborg, something he has been eager to do for a while. So all of you who are curious in kind of a metal punk kind of Northern European approach to an OSR style game, you can tune in and you can talk to Ricky while he's on the show and ask him questions and just pepper him with demands for information. And we'll have a good time doing that. That'll be a lot of fun. Thank you, Mobius. I appreciate your appreciation. I appreciate everyone's appreciation. And you know something? That dovetails right into something that I was going to mention. When I threw down the gauntlet and said, hey, you guys, get me 1,000 subs on the channel, we'll do this convention thing. I was kind of like the pig killer from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, plan ain't no plan. I just assumed I'd be able to go out and find a way for GMs and players to sign up. Well, it wasn't me who did that. It was actually Boganora who did that. Things with the game signups are moving like a well-oiled machine. Jack Photon, by hook or by crook, we will. Anyway, we've seen the sign-up system just move like a greased ball bearing sliding across oiled glass. That's how slick it is. Yeah, Ricky, we got you. I'll tell you about that pig behind me in a minute, Luther. But anyway, the reason it's all going so well with the sign-up grid and everything over on Band is because of Ricky Maru. No, I'm just kidding. It's because of Boganor. It's because of Boganor. I'm sorry, that was an ill-timed joke and in the middle of my sincerity. It's because of Boganora. He's been amazing getting this thing signed up. I don't have an org chart for what I do around here, guys, okay? It's me, and then I beg people to come on the show. When Kyle's on, if things are going right, it's because of Kyle. So, and there's a reason behind that. There's a reason why I do it that way. It's a little bit selfish. It's a little bit paranoid, but it's a lot just kind of wired into how I am or how I try to be. But I'm not going to go into that right now. This is not deep exploration of Bill Sylvie's Gestalt night. This is heap praise on Bo Gonora. His name is Floyd Luther. Actually, Floyd is his name. But anyway, no, Bo has done such an incredible job. If you guys are finding the game grid over on Band easy to maneuver, or if you're hitting snags and asking questions and he's stepping up and saying, here's what you do, it's all because of him. I didn't offer him like a basket full of money, although I wish I could have. He just stepped up and did it and is making it happen. So if the guac goes off fairly hitch-free, greetings, Lord Corion, it is going to be in large part because of Bo. I'm just a crazy kid at heart who had a crazy idea to do a virtual convention to celebrate hitting 1,000 subs on YouTube. All right. Bo has engineered this into something that is actually working. So I cannot say enough good about him, guys. All right. If we ever get to the point where the guac becomes like an in-person thing, oh, I'm going to need him. I'm going to need him so much. And then you could meet him in person and thank him, hopefully. I don't know that we'll ever get there. I mean, I set a hard limit of 10,000 subs on having a real great. There would be great overland or great underground overland gaming convention is what guac would stand for. So thank him when you see him on Discord, or if he's in your game, or if you're in a game that he's running, or if you're in a game together, thank him. All right. Absolutely thank him. Now, I do want to talk about something, as this did come up today in Discord chat about the game grid. It's just like any other con. If somebody's running a game at 4:00 in, they're playing basic D&D at 4:00 Friday afternoon, Eastern Standard, whatever that is where you're at. Thank you, Lord Corion. 3 cheers for Bo Gonora. Well, that's 5 cheers. That's two more cheers then. If we set a standard international trade rate of 1 cheer per dollar, I don't know what the going rate is. It might be less. That might have only been 1 cheer. But Mobius, you got to go to a con someday. Go to North Texas if you like old school. If you want to go to the place to be seen, and I don't necessarily say that as an ugly negative thing, go to GaryCon. If you want to go strictly old school, go to North Texas. But anyway, to go back to what I was saying, it's just like a real convention. If there's games running, like 3 games at 4:00 all in the same day, if you really want it in the basic game, and you also really want in the AD&D game, and you really want it into the OD&D game, you're gonna have to pick. It's just like a real life con. I mean, you got to kind of weigh which game do I want to get into. Not planning a family vacation around a convention. Well, 5 Elbonian cheers. That's only 3 American cheers. Oh, okay. I'm not up on my exchange rates. Canada not planning a family vacation around a convention. I get it, because where is exactly North Texas? Is that? I'm not sure where North Texas Con is at. But unless it's in a really touristy city, like it's near, Six Flags Over Texas or something like that. Yeah, I mean, you're basically flying in for a weekend. Now, I don't want to brag, but if I do have an IRL con here in Orlando, I pretty much got it sewn up, because you can do that. You can say, hey, fam, we'll do a vacation. We'll go to Orlando. We can go to Universal and that sort of thing. And I can sneak off for a day and a half and go game. Above South Texas. Well, thank you, Luther. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's the kind of helpful community we get around here, guys. But anyway, to go back to what I'm saying, you're just going to have to weigh the games you want to play in. So that's from Volcano God, who actually pitched in 4.9 Elbonian cheers, which is like 2.87 standard American cheers, but that's okay. But yeah, it's. I hope that clears anything up as far as scheduling. I don't mind grid, because there's going to be times like Friday evening and Saturday evening are prime times. Volcano God, I got you. Those are prime gaming times at cons. Now, virtual cons, I don't know. And I know I haven't gotten my games in the grid. See, that's how organized I am. I started this thing, and I've been hectoring people to get their games in the grid, and I don't have my games in the grid. I may run up against people's like full up games. I have a Girl Scout event for my youngest daughter that's happening that Saturday. So from like 2 until 6 thereabouts, because I'm not going to, I mean, from the beginning of Saturday probably till about 6, I'm not going to be running anything. I'm not gonna do a convention event early in the day and then potentially run up against time to go and be like, okay guys, come on, hurry up, open the door. You know what? The mystical lock on the door disappears. You can go through the door. Okay, Bill, you got some monsters on the table there. Those aren't there. Those are illusions. You detected they're illusions. Keep going. I'm not going to do that to you guys. Okay. So my games will be Thursday, Friday, maybe one late, actually probably one late Saturday. I'll like finish Saturday with it. And then possibly 1 or 2 on Sunday. Sunday may be game demos, Dungeon Space Hulk and Hero Quest. So that's the con news that fits right there. That's what you get for convention and news. Now I am putting the word out there. I posted over in the AD&D subreddit. There actually is a subreddit just for AD&D. I post game summaries there, and I very rarely will step into a conversation because Reddit can be, I mean, it can be a good thing. Not really going to launch into Reddit politics. It's ridiculous too. But I posted the con information there. So if you see some people you don't recognize, we're not getting inundated with spam bots or anything like that. It's just folks coming over. Hail Red Lobster, Unbreaded. Good to see you, Michael Connor. So yeah, so that's what's going on. If you guys start to see some signs. And welcome to those of you who are coming by, who are coming in from those avenues. You're down for the dungeon game. How does Dungeon and Hero Quest work visually? Well, Vincent, if you've watched the AD&D live streams, it will be much that way. Dungeon, I hate to do this, but I may ask that you're a little familiar with Dungeon, that there is some rules familiarity required. Because you will have to keep your character and your treasure information and all that jazz and mataz. More so even for Hero Quest also. But basically, I'll have the board out, I'll have the camera on the board, and I will probably print up beforehand some very large pieces so they show up very nicely on screen for Dungeon. So you guys can very easily see it. Nothing too elaborate, or I'll grab minis off the wall over there. I'll probably just do that actually. But so everyone can see, and I may have like two cameras going, like a dual camera thing. And you will tell me where you wish to move. I'm figuring out. Hero Quest is a D&D board game, not a D&D board game. It is a Dungeons and Dragons board game. There are minis and props and everything else. It's hard to not do it or on camera, not in camera, on camera. You've got a copy of the game. Super, so you're going to know the rules. What I may do, no, not may do, what I will do is I will scan the Dungeon board game rules. And that's legal. That's allowed. Wizards of the Coast, you'd have to dig around on their site, but Wizards of the Coast, who still sell Dungeon, by the way, you can still buy a copy of Dungeon, and the rules are the same as what Dave McGarry wrote 50 years ago now. You can probably find that rules PDF and familiarize yourself with it. So that is how that will work. And I will basically handhold the Hero Quest game. Since it is a role-playing game, I'll just tell you guys what to roll when, and I will have PDFs of your character cards to give to you. Hello! Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Speaking of Legends of Wargaming, Paul Stormberg has yet to put his games in the grid. Probably because I forgot to send him the band link, but save some room. Keep your fork. There'll be Paul. So he will be running games too, also. But we're going to have a good time, and part of the reason we're going to be having a good time, again, is because of Boganora and his tireless work. Now, let me tell you guys something. I am on eternity leave, all right? My chances of being a self-made person imploded a long time ago. So this is what old Bill has got. My counterpart, Mr. Ganora, on the other hand, is a telecom engineer, an IT guy who moves mountains on a daily basis to do computer work, and then turns around and has kept all of the chainsaws in the air for the con schedule. Is the combat computer? I don't know. I have no access to that prop, and I would be afraid that I'd break it anyway. There is. You want a copy of Warhammer Fantasy Quest? Okay, I hope you find one. But anyway, there is a guy. There are several tech YouTubers who do like computer history that would probably they would plot if they could get a chance to examine that thing. I know they would. But yeah, I feel like there's a good time coming on. Oh, I forgot to mention. So, a non-gaming event. Ricky Maru and Renton is the handle of the person. I don't know who that is yet. I don't really know them personally, but they're actually doing a panel event, like an open panel event on Discord. So you guys should check that out. Tracy Lesh will be at the con. We haven't quite worked out what exactly event Tracy will be doing or when, but Tracy Lesh will be there doing something, probably art related, maybe answering some questions about D&D art and so on and etc. So we've got some non-gaming events happening at the Gaming Con, just like a real grown-up convention. And I'm there for it. And I hope you guys will be too. I really sincerely hope you guys will be too. Hey, Mick Leach, I see you over there. I see you over yonder on Facebook. Oh, thank you, Ricky. Thank you very much. Thank you for the tip. I appreciate that. So all kinds of cool stuff is going on at the Guac. We're going to have a good time. I hope you guys are excited for it. I am too. This is the next best thing to getting to actually meet you guys face to face. Maybe someday, okay? Maybe someday. We'll just have to crack that 10K subscribers on YouTube. Maybe they'll send me like a plastic YouTube button. I'm pretty sure I told you guys they sent me a GIF. They sent me an animated GIF to celebrate 1,000 subs. Ricky, don't lose my number. So speaking of gaming events, this is a face-to-face gaming event. In June, on June 11th, if you are in the Central Florida area and you want to come to a small exclusive gaming event, I will be running a games day, a bit of a games day at Gods and Monsters Anniversary. Gods and Monsters is 5421 International Drive, and it is their 7th anniversary since they came into existence. And they will be there will be lots of creators and artists and folks there. And I asked the wonderful, ebullient, lovely Anna Maya Young if I could come there, because I haven't done I haven't done a games event at Gods and Monsters in years, in literal years. So I firmly intend to change that. I will be running an AD&D game morning-ish to afternoon-ish. Then I will be doing a Space Hulk demo, participatory demo, not just standing there saying, here's what people can come and roll dice and move Marines and kill Gene Stealers. And then in the evening, I will be running a Tales from the Loop game. So if you're going to be in the Central Florida area on June 11th and you want to get some kind of gaming on, I will be doing that thing. Hey, shout out to Mick Leach over on Facebook. His Facebook group, Old School Gamers, cracked 16,400. What is that? Is that likes, friends, members, joins? I have been not doing Facebook metric stuff much, hardly at all, Mick, but that's awesome. Congratulations. So that will be going on the 11th. Now, further out from that, August 20th. I think it's either the 20th or the 22nd. I will be at QuestCon Orlando. I will be giving a talk at QuestCon Orlando about gaming, about coming up as a gamer, about meeting and working with Gary, and then taking some questions, kind of a TED Talk kind of thing. Nerd talk, not TED, nerd. So if, again, you're going to be in the Central Florida area and you want to come to QuestCon, I will be there. Tracy Lesh will also be there. He will have a table on Artist Row. After I'm done with my talk, I'm going to go hang out with Tracy. I might have some books to sign. And sell. Or if you have something of mine, which is not much stuff, admittedly, but if you have an old copy of Elemental Moon kicking around, or if you have printed out PDFs of the free stuff that I've given out, bring it by and I'll sign it. If you have one of the rare few physical copies that were sold of Temple of the Sun, the Osric version of Temple of the Sun, published by my dear friends over at Hellebard Games, and you want to bring that by, I'll sign it. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So all that and more is happening. Now, something else that's three things that are coming up. Well, two things actually should be the only things that impact the show that are coming up. They're very, very good for me. They might impact the schedule of the show somewhat. At some point this summer, between June and the end of August. Now, I've told you guys before, I talked about it last night. I'm very glad you mentioned that, Volcano God. Old School Gamers, Michael Connor's Old School Gamer. That's funny, Volcano God. That's hilarious. Hang on, and I'll get that link for you in just a second, Michael. But anyway, this summer, my business Guide Key is going to be booming. I will be running events for Volcano God, his company, which VG, I don't know if you want me to mention your company by name. If you want to keep this undoxed, I won't. But if you're okay with me saying who it is, I will say who it is. But VG and I have worked something. Another corporate that sounds so negative. A friend of mine who is involved in business in a managerial type role, in a leadership role, that's what they call it these days, right? A leadership role will be, I won't dox you, bro. I won't dox you. We'll also be acquiring the services of Guide Key, and I will be running events for his organization. I'll be running events for VG's organization. Typically, these can fall on weeknights. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. So there may be a stretch this summer when the show schedule is a little leaner, but it does mean something very positive for me. And I hope you guys understand that. What benefits Guide Key benefits me, and what benefits me benefits the show, and what benefits the show benefits everyone. So it's a very good, very positive thing, and I am elated about it. But just be aware. Just be aware. And like, I'll talk it, like, if the game for client A happens on Thursday nights, I'll let you guys know well in advance. Hey, look, here's what's happening. Monday to Wednesday, normal show. Then a normal show on Friday. Or if it's on Friday nights, maybe I'll bump back the Gamma World game. But it's all good, and I'm very excited about it. Now, Michael Connor, were you asking for a link to the Old School Gamers page from Facebook, or were you asking for this link? That's me. That's what I do. Let me see here. But if you were asking for Old School Gamers on Facebook, let's not get carried away with what, Mobius? I'm all about getting carried away. I love getting carried away. So let's see here. Old School Gamers. Try this. Try that. Oh, you just got approved. Okay. So all in all, things are going okay. I can't complain. But you know who will complain? You know who's going to complain? Your players, when you drag them kicking and screaming by their ankles through G1, G2, and G3. No, I kid. They're fun, but they're deadly. As we discussed, they are deadly. Well, as I said last night, we looked at the separate modules. I hope now those of you who hadn't seen those modules before agree with me that they are a master class in adventure design. They are lean. They give the players the dungeon master just enough background to work with, that on that framework, he can build something truly magnificent. They are deadly. G1 and G2 have their fair share of tricks and traps. G3 will filter out, it will weed out all non-hackers. It is the Gunnery Sergeant Hartman of adventure modules. My marching orders from E. Gary Gygax are to wield out all non-hackers who do not pack the adventuring gear to play in these beloved modules. You'll laugh, you'll cry, your characters will die. So, a lot of you maybe had never seen those pastel covers before. Many of you, this might have been your first encounter with Against the Giants, and that's part of the thumbnail, or part of this is the thumbnail. On the back, you kind of get a taste of what the old school modules looked like. So in 1980, Gary sat down to take two, just based on page count, not based on content, lightweight modules and one medium weight module, concatenate them into a large singular module. And I'm just going to spoil this for you guys. I'm just going to jump straight to the chase. It is not easier, all right? He didn't look at G1, 2, and 3 and say, oh, you know, they're a little too dangerous. They're a little too tough. I'm gonna ease up on a couple of these. There's actually a couple of spots in D2 that are like that. There's a pit of eternity. It's not named such, but basically it's described as a bottomless pit in D2 that is not there in D1, 2 or D2, 3, whichever. It's D1 and 2 and then 3. We'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, this is a very beat up copy that I have. It is a play copy. I have had better copies than this, but like a great many things that I've had to sell them off. So what's different about this then? It's not, I mean, the page count might lead you to believe that a lot has been added, because this is 30 pages of actual, well, I mean, it's 28 pages. It's 28 pages. So I'm not going to do the illustration, go through and see how much of it is illustration and the front page and so on. Let's call it 26 pages. So, first of all, the typeface is a little bit larger. It's a little bit easier on my eyes, but not by much. But I think that's what that's what kind of accounts for that. But there are some additional things in this module. And if you're curious about the maps too, you do get a lot of map booklets in here. Let me see. This poor thing is falling apart. Brad Place. Brad, I have your copy of G123. But you get... Now, I think this is a disservice because these are so small. These are that's all the maps for G3 in postcard size in the middle of the pages. G1 is on the inner cover, is on the inside of the inner cover, and my inner cover is about to fall apart. And then G2, its maps, because it's 2 levels also, remember, are on the outer side of the inner map folder, and then I showed you guys here. Volcano God is absolutely right. Heed what he says there. It's not about 0-level PCs. Let me tell you what. If you want to play, there are plenty of games, good games. I'm not slagging the games. There are plenty of good role-playing games. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is a great bad PC game. All right, you can have a character who goes through 3 advancements and can still die by being beaten to death by a goblin who has a board with a nail through it. And that's not even from injuries. That's from the typhus you catch because he dipped it in his poop before he came into battle against you. There are plenty of games that do that low-end grind. AD&D is not one of them. Fighters in AD&D, first-level fighters, are called veterans. They are a cut above. Look at fighting men. Look at men at arms, heavy foot, light foot, heavy cavalry, light cavalry. Outside of sergeants, lieutenants, and captains, they have 1 to 7 hit points ever, and they don't advance. They're not characters. Your characters in AD&D are a cut above anyone in the world. That's why you have stats. You know, I'm going to give my gauntlets of ogre power. I don't need gauntlets of ogre power. I got a second pair of gauntlets of ogre power. I'm going to give them to a hireling. I'm going to give them to one of the 1 to 7 hit point men at arms. It's not going to do them any good. Let's make him a little bit stronger. You are something special. The first level fighter in AD&D is called a veteran. You've been through what all the men at arms and the captains and sergeants and majors and so on, or lieutenants and so on, have been through. All right. You've seen the elephant already. You're already better than the guys you're hiring. But there's strength in numbers, which is why you hire them. Look at the Tuesday night AD&D game if you don't believe me. So what Volcano God is saying there is absolutely correct. It is absolutely right. But let's get back to Against the Giants. You do get a little bit of new artwork. This came out in 80. Jeff D did that as some ice toads getting their war on against a party here. But we get some new stuff. We still have like the entries for Drow, and yes, it's Drow. But we also have 2 new spells, which I meant to have my copy of G3 out. I'm having a senior moment. Bame's Nuns having a strunk. Call the Bondulance. And I cannot remember if these 2 new spells are in there. But there's new spells in G123. Crystal Brittle. It causes metal, whether soft as gold or hard as adamantine, to turn into a crystalline substance as brittle and fragile. A crystalline substance as brittle and fragile as crystal. Thus, a sword, a shield of metal, metal armor, or even an iron golem can be changed to a delicate glass-like material, easily shattered by any forceful blow. Furthermore, this change is unalterable short of a wish spell. Dispel magic will not reverse the spell. Duration permanent. And by the way, it's a 9th level spell. But then you probably should have a magic user who can cast 9th level spells if you're playing G123. Michael Connor, you are absolutely... You know what? I'm sorry. You didn't... Normally, I got to make an exception this time. Even though there's no super chat, that is an important statement. People that pronounce it Dro were always insufferable in other ways too. That is important. It is important, and I'm going to leave it on the screen for a few minutes. Thank you, Michael. And then we have Energy Drain. Energy Drain is basically what succubi and why were succubi the first thing I thought of? Specters and wraiths and wights do, but it's in spell form. It's also permanent. You basically open up a party line between the person you're touching and the negative material plane. And you get drained. No, Volcano God, it is a 9th level spell. Remember, that's a 17th level magic user. I think 17th or 14th, I can't remember. And plus, it's something that you could find on a scroll. So we have a new spell. We have a couple of new spells, rather. But what's the hubbub, bub? What else is in this module that's so important? Tournament characters. That's right. If you weren't there for the rollout, of G1, G2, and G3 at Origins or Gen Con, you might not have ever gotten a chance to see these characters. And to that end, they included them. So we're going to take a gander at these bad boys right now and see just exactly what Gary thinks is an acceptable party to throw into the meat grinders of G1, G2, and G3. I want to point something else out before we start this. There is a book by a woman named Susan Kells Sperling. The book is called Pop Lollies and Belly Bones, a celebration of lost words. What does this have to do with the price of tea in China? So many of Gary's weird names, place names, spell names, creature names, and non-player character names came from this book. You can find it on Amazon, Pop Lollies and Belly Bones by Susan Kells, K-E-L-Z, Sperling, S-P-E-R-L-I-N-G. If you want to have some Gygaxian names of your own. Okay, let's look at these characters. There are many. There are 9 of them. Look at what they have. Look at their spell list. It is Drow. It's always been Drow. I know of one person who insists that the way Gary meant it to be was Drow, but you know what? Every time I talked to Gary, he said Drow. But anyway. So, the first character is Gleepwerp the Eyebiter. He is a human. He is a magic user. He is 12th level. Strength 10, and yes, I'm gonna go across the stats on this. Strength 10, Intelligence 16, Wisdom 12, Dexterity 15, Charisma 16. I'm sorry, Constitution 16, Charisma 13, Neutral Good, no armor, armor class 2/2. That is, it's 2 whether you catch him unawares from the flank or rear, or what. His magic items. Wand of Fire with 20 charges, Ring of Protection +1, Bracers of Defense armor class 4, Robe of Blending, a scroll with Confusion, Monster Summoning 3, Potion of Healing, 2 potions of extra healing. And then he's got a fairly... I'm not going to go into the normal equipment. You guys by now, if you've watched the How to Play AD&D, if you've heard Kyle and I talk, you know what adventurers should be carrying in their bindles, in their gunny sacks, in their haver sacks, in their rucksacks. So we're not going to go down that avenue, in the words of Nick Saban. So quit asking. Then we have, oh, I'm sorry, dim light here. Collier Bulls. Human Thief. 13th level. Strength 12, Intelligence 14, Wisdom 11, Dexterity 18, Constitution 15, Charisma 15. Neutral, leather armor. Armor class 1 -1. Oh, and I forgot hit points. Our friend Gleepwarp the Eyebiter there, he's doing real good. 53 hit points. 53 hit points for a 12th level magic user is pretty damn good. You know, I said how I say Drow. I don't. I play BECMI. I mean, I can see the point of BECMI, much like I can see the point of putting 4 emergency spare tires on your car and driving across town. It'll work, but why? Yes, Mario, you're going to get in trouble with me. Let's see. Short sword +2, displacer cloak, dust of disappearance, 12 pinches, scroll of ice storm, because remember, kids, thieves can use magic user scrolls. A bag of holding, 1,000 pounds capacity, a potion of healing, 2 potions of extra healing. Are you getting the point about the potions of extra healing? And then we have number 3. This is Roki Swerkt, a human cleric, 12th level. Strength 18, Intelligence 10, Wisdom 18, Dexterity 12, Constitution 18, Charisma 17, Lawful Neutral, Plate and Shield, Armor Class -2/1, 70 hit points. Mace +2, Plate Mail +2, Shield +2, 2 potions of invisibility, a potion of diminution, 2 potions of extra healing. And by the way, if you're wondering about spells and spell books, we'll get to that. Of note, now I have said, we're not going to talk about normal equipment. He does have he has 7 vials of holy water, 3 oil flasks, so in addition to usual stuff. Crush Suggle, a human fighter, level 14, strength 17, intelligence 11, wisdom 10, dexterity 14, constitution 17, charisma 13, plate and shield, -5/1, 104 hit points. Don't send your 7th level parties into these modules is the lesson that we're rapidly picking up. Spear +3, battle axe +1, plate mail +2, shield +3, 4 potions of invisibility, a potion of healing, 2 potions of extra healing. One of my favorite characters, just by name, Funkin' Haughty Peak. He's a high elf, fighter magic user, 5'8", strength 15, intelligence 15, wisdom 9, dexterity 10, dexterity 10, constitution 16, charisma 18, lawful good. Oh, Frush's alignment was lawful good. Wears splint mail, -4, -4. Now, he's a bit of a glass cannon because he only has 29 hit points. Sword +2, 6 javelins of lightning. Let's see. Splint Mail +2, Ring of Protection +2, Ring of Regeneration. Well, there's your 29 hit points. Elven Cloak and Boots, Scroll, Continual Light, and Hold Monster. Potion of Healing, 2 potions of extra healing. Flurred Tranile, a human cleric. Why, he is only 9th level. Strength 14, Strength 14, Intelligence 12, Wisdom 16, Dexterity 7, Constitution 16, Charisma 18, Lawful Good, Wears Plate, -2, 56 hit points. Staff of Striking, Hammer +1, Plate Mail +2, Potion of Healing, 2 potions of extra healing. Now note, with his Staff of Striking, we are not told how many charges are on that. There's 2 schools of thought that when I've talked to DMs about that. Some say make it up on the spot. Others say just give it the max charges. Given this module, I'm actually inclined to go max charges. You may want to do something different, like roll D percentage, and that's the percentage of charges that it has left from a full charge. Relmod Dumble, a dwarf fighter, 9th level, strength 1874, intelligence 11, wisdom 9, dexterity 15, constitution 17, charisma 8, which with the last name of Dumble, were you expecting anything else? Lawful neutral, plate and shield, armor class -1, /1, 82 hit points. Dwarven hammer +3. Yeah. Plate mail +1, shield +1, ring of invisibility, boots of striding and springing, 2 potions of extra healing. You know, with all these potions of extra healing, I'm reminded of a story that a friend of mine who was an Army Ranger in Afghanistan told me. No, this is not some fantastical Rambo-esque story. No, he was a medic, and medics got to pack a lot of equipment out in the field with them. Plasma, bandages, various kits, and so on. Well, what Jay did was, he told every guy in his unit, look, I got to carry 75 pounds worth of gear. I have to get to you guys if you're wounded. If I've got 75 pounds of medical gear on my back, it could slow me down. It could slow me down to the point where I could get wounded and not be able to make it to you before you bleed out. If each of you carries some gear, any one of you who gets wounded will have medical supplies with you, and I can get to you expediently and start treating you immediately. And they believed it. And all of them would carry a couple of units of plasma, a couple of bullet wound kits, bandages, so on and etc. with their gear. Because it was just a few extra pounds for them, and it was nothing for him. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Everybody's packing medical gear. They're not just relying on the cleric. Baffle Dway Omercraft, human magic user, 9th level. Strength 16, Intelligence 18, Wisdom 17, Dexterity 17, Constitution 15, Charisma 12, Neutral, Armor Class 2-2, 33 hit points. Wand of Frost with 20 charges, Cloak of Protection +2, Ring of Protection +3, Scroll, Shield, Phantasmal Force, Web, Pass Wall, Potion of Healing, 2 potions of extra healing. And finally, the one you've all been waiting for, I know this. And by the way, I mentioned this today on the Discord. I apologize for all the fidgeting. I am not rattling the cup at you guys. This chair I'm sitting on, this is agony. This is a medieval torture device. It hurts to sit here. I'll just have to save up and buy another chair. But the fidgeting around and the moving back and forth is basically to make sure I don't have a deep vein thrombosis or wind up with a pinched nerve. That 12 hours that I did the marathon anniversary show was hell. But let us continue. So I apologize for this and moving the mic back and shifting and that sort of thing. I know you sent $2 and I get $1.40 of it. Thanks, YouTube. Which I'm not complaining for more money. That is what it is. And hey, you're a patron, so I've got no complaints at all. I'm just telling you guys, that's why I'm shifting around. Beak Gwenders of Crudel. A half-elf ranger, 9th level. Strength 15, Intelligence 14, Wisdom 16, Dexterity 17, Constitution 18, Charisma 16, Chaotic Good, Chain and Shield, Armor Class -3/0, 93 hit points. Sword +1, Crossbow of Speed, 30 bolts +2, Chainmail +2, Shield +2, Elven Cloak and Boots, Sneezing Dust, 5 pinches, Dust of Appearance, 5 pinches, Dust of Disappearance, 3 pinches, Potion of Healing, 2 potions of extra healing. Okay. 9 characters. The weakest character is a 5/8 fighter magic user. There is overlap. There are 3 magic users. There are 2 clerics. There is thief overlap, and you have somebody whose life is based around killing giants and giantkin, a ranger. Your weak character, Funk and Haughty Peak, only has 29 hit points. Everybody else, almost everybody else, with the exception of Fally Dueomercraft, is north of 50. They all have, additional healing in potions. They all have a fairly good array of magic items and whatnot. Now, in amongst their gear, they're also carrying coin. And why is that important? Quick bribes. You know, might find that one giant who's willing to not ring the bell till the party is well away in exchange for a handful of platinum. So take heed of these characters, guys. If you grab yourself a copy of G123, whether you get it off of eBay, whether you get it off of drive-thru and do a print on demand, take heed and note these characters and what they're like and how they're statted. Don't say, hey, the fighter just made it to 8th level just now. I'm going to say that the party gets a telegram from Gorna. You got to go fight some giants. The fighter's rocking 35, 40 hit points. Magic users up to 6th level now. It's not going to end well, guys. I mean, here is 1, 2, 3. Let's see, that's in excess of 100 character levels. A good way to do tactical experiments of how can a party do is to roughly sketch a monster that consists, a blob basically, that has all of the party's hit points, their average armor class, the number of melee attacks that they can, and can also cast the same amount of spells that the party can. And send it into combat against things. It's a quick and dirty way for figuring out about where the balance of the party should be in terms of risk in the game. A blob of, say, 80 some hit points that can throw out maybe 10 spells, 12 spells, 15 spells, heal itself a few times, hit with about a 60% success rate that rolls into the steading of the Hill Giant Chief, will be smashed into jelly. Keep these characters in mind. Even if you don't use them, they're a looking glass. Analyze them. Look at your players' characters. Is there anyone in the party as tough as Frush O'Shuggle, at least in terms of level? No? Maybe best let G1, G2, and G3 sit on the shelf a little bit longer. Do some homebrew stuff. Raise those characters up, and for God's sake, make sure the party has at least a couple of magic users. Now, to magic users, let's talk about magic users. I hope you guys are digging this, by the way. This was not my plan tonight. I'm adapting, I'm improvising, I'm overcoming. When there's 15 of you watching right now, I can only surmise that you're enjoying this. So let's see. Spell books. Tournament spell lists. Now, here's the thing about these spell lists. They're not spell books. We cannot presume what might otherwise be in them. Remember, when you got to your seat there at Gen Con and opened up your envelope and pulled out your character, there wasn't like a spell book with pick from these. You were told this is the spells that you memorized. And you'll note, this is for all three. That may be the only spell book that the character has. And there is no time to cast Read Magic and write on any scrolls you might find along the way. But here we go. Flurred. Cure Light Wounds, Detect Evil, Detect Magic, Find Traps, Hold Person, Silence 15-foot radius. Continual Light, Remove Curse, Speak with Dead, Neutralize Poison ×2, Commune, and Dispel Evil. Baffle. Light, Shield, Magic Missile twice. Detect Invisibility, Invisibility, and Web. Haste, Invisibility 10-foot radius, Lightning Bolt. No, that's not like, I'm going to memorize Lightning Bolt 5 times. That's what they have. Confusion, Ice Storm, Conjure Elemental. Think about the utility of some of these spells. Don't be afraid to advise particularly younger and less experienced players that you might, let's say you're just like, you know what, I'm not playing D&D for 6 years, so players can get tough enough to play in the Giants modules. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to run it with the characters that are in the book. If that's the case, advise them on the best applications of these spells, particularly only if they're new players. But I can think just as from a player standpoint where you could use some of these. I mean, speak with dead. You kill a giant, you question it. Obviously, hold person, silence 15-foot radius. You cast silence 15-foot radius on a party, and suddenly being concerned about creeping down the halls of a giant steading, not so big of a deal. Gleed, detect magic, charm person, magic missile twice. Detect invisible, knock, phantasmal force, web. Dispel magic, haste, lightning bolt, monster summoning 1. Charm a monster, ice storm, wall of ice, monster summoning 2. Magic jar, teleport, wall of stone, stone to flesh. Roki, cure light wounds times 4. He's that kind of cleric. I'm just stacking cure light wound spells in here. Just keep stacking them in. Bless, find traps, hold person, silence 15-foot radius, locate plant. Little bit of a joke there for Volcano God. It's not there, by the way. Locate plant's not there. Continual light, prayer, remove curse times 2. Cure serious wounds times 2, neutralize poison times 2. Commune, death touch, dispel evil, raise dead, and bleed barrier. Falcon Haughty Peak, charm person, magic missile, read magic, sleep, continual light, levitate, web, fireball, and that's the only one in the party. Slow and suggestion, ice storm, and wall of fire. And finally, old Beak Winders of Crudel, Fairy Fire twice, and Ventriloquism. So that's the kind of party that you can take into G1 at least, and have a reasonable expectation of survival for the group. But I would heed those double-digit levels on some of these characters, guys. Don't run this with a mindset that just because you've got a couple of 8th and 9th level characters in the party, that it's time to send them in here, because a few things are going to happen. One, and the most simple, they're all going to die. They're all going to get unalived by the first module. 2, they're going to start doing that and they're going to quit in character or out of character. They're going to walk away and you're never going to convince them to play in the module again. Which would suck because they're great modules. 3, you're going to see them getting smashed by room 2, and then you're really going to screw them because you're going to start pulling your punches because you don't want them to get wiped out. Unless you're just a sadistic prick of a DM who enjoys sending characters that are far too low level into a dungeon that they were not prepared for. And in which case you are an overall detriment to the hobby. And you should educate yourself before continuing. Killed many character in that hill giant gatehouse. That's an interesting statement, Lord Corion. That was usually the easiest part. Was if you're talking about the watchtower that overlooks the gate in G1. But where I'm going with this, guys, is it's better to let these modules sit for a while than to send an unprepared party in. They hate it, and you can't go back to it. Or worse, they somehow manage to grind it most of the way through a module, and they quit it, or they're all slain, and you want to run it again for that same group, but with new characters at a later time, and now you've got to screw with your timeline. So use that information that I gave you about those characters. And again, buy a copy of this. I know I said the pastel ones are the best way to go, but get a copy of this for the characters in the spell list and use it as a target for what your players should be. Now, if you come through and you wind up and you got everybody's 14th level, nobody has less than 60 hit points, the magic users are throwing like 7th level spells, multiple 6th level spells, and so on and etc. You've probably got a party that can power their way at least through G1 and probably parts of G2. So just food for thought. Just keep that in mind, okay? I've talked about how enjoyable it is, the how deadly it can be, and how I think that's enjoyable. But at the same time, guys, remember what I have told you. It's easy to kill an adventuring party full of characters. It's very easy. You can do it by the book, by sending them unprepared into something like this. Or you can be the dick GM who just says, rocks fall, everybody dies. Roll up new characters. Ha 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 ha. Aren't I clever? That latter type usually don't keep their playing groups, or they shouldn't. The difficult part is keeping them alive, and it's especially difficult if you want to run G1, G2, and G3, and then later D1, D2, D3, and possibly with an eye to running Q1. Just like players have to slowly advance, you, the DM, must also slowly advance. Just be patient. Let them grow and grow your world by the time they are standing outside the steading. Crickets chirping faintly in the evening. The chill in the air because the fog is on the downs where the steading sits away from the trees. Swords still in their sheaths because they don't want to reveal themselves via the glow. The magic user using telepathy to relay messages around the party. If you go there at the right time, you'll feel it in your bones what a right sensation it is. And you'll know this is going to be awesome because these are awesome modules. They're going to be a test of you and of your players' abilities. More so than almost any other module. I mean, hey, Tomb of Horrors is basically just don't touch anything. We need help with a puzzle, divination, and augury. That won't help here. The party has to engage. And if you're DMing them right, that's gonna be some of the best play they've ever had. Sphere of Annihilation, touch it. What kind of level gain is there in each module on average? With everybody needing north of a few 100,000 experience points, it's actually not much. Once upon a time, I started doing some calculations, but you got to understand, there's a room where there's 666 gems with a base of 5 gold piece value. You could have gems in there. You yourself could have gems in there that explode into the tens of thousands or possibly even hundreds of thousands of gold pieces in value for just one gem. So it's going to vary. The mean is that by the time you get out of G3, it is possible, if you've killed everything and your DM has rewarded you for freeing the Titan and the Storm Giantess, if he's given you XP rewards for that, and they have found every hidden magic item, it is possible that everybody can go up a level. Possible. I don't know. I haven't crunched the numbers. I could be wrong. And we're gonna do this all for the D series too. The D series is a completely different fruit, though. You're expecting a banana. Hey, a banana is yellow. This thing is yellow. This is a lemon. This is completely different. D1 and D1, D2, and D3 are not Metal Gear Solid-esque creeping through the warehouse to take down the bad guys kind of dungeon crawls. D1 and D2 are much different. Well, we'll see how different they are. We'll see how different they are. But those are your big differences between separate G1, separate G2, and separate G3 and G123. What do I recommend? For completeness and ease of access, the super module, G1, 2, and 3. And it is the first super module that TSR ever published. Later, they concatenated it into GDQ 1 to 7, Queen of the Spiders, which is all the G modules, all the D modules, and the Q module in one super module with connecting glue in terms of text between each one. But I don't think that is a good representation of them because they stuffed in a lot of fluff text that isn't even in here. I don't recommend the GDQ 1 to 7 super module. Just either get this or get the pastel cover reprints. Grumpy Gardenard, you make a point. The recommended levels are titled. Each PC should have several henchmen they could bring along, exactly, to step up in the shoes of their fallen lord. A nephew, a cousin, a son. So it may well be. It may well be. But again, once we dig into D1 and D2 and then D3 and possibly Q1, Praxis. Okay, I'm going to read this. Let's see. My Sunday group is all novices, 1.5 years of play amongst the 6 of them. They own G1 with their 9th levels plus 4 henchmen. My Friday season players TPK'd with 7 10th level characters in number 11 Long Haul. I can believe it. In cautious play with high-level characters, not high-level players, high-level characters, your party is going to get wiped out. That is a perfect example of cautious play rewarding the players. So, again, with G1, 2, and 3's pre-gens are your test bed. They're your test article to find out how the weapon that is the party all fits together. So we will get to the D modules next week, I think. We'll see what Schuyler's availability, like how that's all going to work out. Tomorrow night, Ricky Maru will be here again talking about Morkborg. Friday night, we'll do Gamma World. And then we'll just pick it all up back on Monday. Now, I'm not ending for the evening because there were some questions. Someone had asked about Floyd back here. So, this is Floyd the Pig. It is a promotional device. I've stuck my head in a pig. It is a... yes, Ari Sinlu is far better than Mesno Bananarama. This is a promo device that was sent out by the folks at CBS Records, which was Pink Floyd's label at the time in the US, for the album A Momentary Lapse of Reason. Now, I actually went in 1988, the summer of 1988, I went to the Pink Flood show. It rained all night. I was there with my girlfriend, Lisa Ripplemeyer, and we saw Pink Floyd, A Momentary Lapse of Reason. Almost didn't get into the stadium downtown to see them because Lisa's ticket had begun to disintegrate. And I was just like, oh, God, please, please, please. And she was like, okay. And they let us in. And then we sat in the rain for 2.5 hours listening to Pink Floyd. But late that next year, that following fall, I got my first job ever at a mom and pop record store, and stuck back in amongst the promotional stuff was Floyd, just sitting in the back room on a shelf. And I asked the boss, I said, can I have Floyd? And he was like, I don't care. For a guy who had a record store, Jim was always so unhappy. I wasn't the best employee in the world. I was 18. I had shitty work ethics. But I always kept Floyd with me. I took Floyd to to an improv comedy show downtown. Remember improv comedy, improv theater? And they were like, oh, give us something and we'll do. And I brought Floyd with me. And I leaned up and I said, here. And they were like, oh, yeah. And, it was just a little prop and a skit. And my buddy who took me to the show was like, they keep the props, right? Mm-mm. So at the end, like, we were all filing out and I saw Floyd just kind of sitting there. He was looking at me. And I took 2 steps up on the stairs and I picked Floyd up and left with him. So, no, you can actually, the Pink Floyd Momentary Lapse of Reason Foam Pigs, Floyd's cousin here. I want to say I saw one on eBay for like $20 or $30 not too long ago. I say not too long ago, as it could have been years. But he will remain with me. And I know one day the foam is going to break down. I'll go to pick him up one day and it'll start to crumble apart. But until that time, Floyd remains. Floyd will remain a constant companion to you and to I. So now you guys know the story of Floyd. Michael Connor, you're a fan of Chatto's channel after all. So if you guys don't know, there is this fantastic comedic TV producer. I have been trying to figure out what a good way to have him on this live stream would be. But the channel is called Call Me Chatto. And I actually got pulled into it initially when when the storm broke about how Amazon is shitting up the Lord of the Rings. Now, Mr. Chatto, If he was looking at me, he wanted to leave. That's darn right. I'm going to leave you behind, Floyd, old buddy. But he talks about the TV industry a lot, and he does it in a very funny and engaging way. And when the storm broke about how Amazon was shitting up the Lord of the Rings, he reacted to it. And I started looking at his channel, and this guy, like, he talks about vintage Macintosh. Well, he's not anymore because he's just kind of moved on to modern ones. But, like, he did something called a Hackintosh. And if you're not familiar with computer stuff, so from, like, 2002 until a couple of years ago, Apple was on PC processors, which pissed a lot of Apple fanboys who loved the older Macintoshes off because they were like, ew, the Apple's just a PC now. But what it meant was you could, with the right hardware and software tweaks, install Mac OS on a PC you could build yourself. And you could build a workstation as powerful as a Macintosh Pro for a quarter, an eighth, a 16th of the price. Awesome stuff. It does require some hoops jumping through to do. This is not the channel to talk about that. I thought about doing a tech channel, but honestly, there's too many on YouTube. It's too saturated. Like, I would get like a couple hundred viewers on that at most, right? Because you've got Linus Tech Tips and like 5 other guys who like personally know Linus and can spoof him on their shows, and they have millions of viewers. And everybody else has like viewers numbered in, well, more than I do, but still a tiny amount. So I started looking through his channel. I'm like, hey, this is cool. Vintage, computer stuff and all this great commentary. And so I've started watching his channel, and he's done a couple of great videos. Now, his background is he's a TV producer. He's a comedy TV producer. I don't know what projects he's worked on. I don't know where to tell you to go find him on IMDb or whatever. But he is dead set against the woke. Not because he's a MAGA, Republican, right-wing, I watch Hannity, and so on and etc. Simply because he recognizes that cancel culture and woke culture stifles creativity. And there's very little, far, far less than those people think, that shouldn't be laughed at. And the guy has an amazing, engaging style. I left a comment on his Lord of the Rings video, and somebody responded underneath, like, oh my gosh, I don't know, person, if you subscribe to my channel, thank you for doing that. Exactly, Michael Connor. He's left of center, but he's a normal person. But the person and I interacted with each other, and Shadow hopped down into the thread and said something about having played D&D one time. And I said, it would be great to have him on the show then if he groks it, And I'd still like to be honest, but I would want to create a platform where, like, because he's like, I talk about TV and stuff, and most of my fantasy gaming when I was a kid was Zork. That was more my jam. I only played D&D a little bit. So, but please go give him a look. It's fun stuff. He grabbed an old TV guide and was talking about like his fall previews from TV guides in the 70s. And he got like the 79, 78, something like that. And this brand new show debuting on CBS, WKRP in Cincinnati. Oh, that was my jam. But he did a recent video, and this is like a perfect example of I don't know what the frantics are, Michael. You would have to tell me what the frantics are. But he talked about, again, he was talking about why the insanity of woke Hollywood is awful. And I made a comment. I was like, you know what? Everything that you're saying, I said for years was going to happen to tabletop gaming. And I've told you guys this before. I'm not preaching at you guys, but I said I tried to warn people about this. That when they were done with comics, when they were done with you know, well, at the time it was comics and video games, they'd come for tabletop gaming. And I got told, don't bring your internet drama in here. Don't bring that Gamergate nonsense in here, Bill. That's ridiculous. You didn't wipe your feet before you came into our Facebook group, web forum, subreddit, whatever. You'll take a look around you and see what's happened. Even to so-called old school gaming. The myth of Cassandra always used to scare the hell out of me when I was a kid and I would read it, because what if you knew something really bad was going to happen and you tried to tell people and they wouldn't listen to you? And from 2015 until just a year ago, I told people they're going to come for us. I saw the little sniper's nest they were setting up in cesspits, like Something Awful's forums, RPG Net. Oh, we're gonna clean up tabletop gaming. It has an X problem. I will look it up, Michael. But in the ultimate sign, now let me tell you something. All I did, I said everything that I just said to you guys. Oh my, I lost my studio lights. My battery died. Hang on a second, guys. That's the first time that's happened with the new studio lights, by the way. And it's not even the light's fault. It's the battery's fault. Hang on, let me turn on the overhead. Hold on. Hopefully I won't smash my foot against the computer case. And it did. Ow. I'm back. Not looking good. Yellow light. There we go. But I left a comment. I said what I just said, and I said it on the video. Now, I've had people on this channel say, "Oh, hello, Dabney name." I've had people on this channel say, I left you a comment on a video, but I'll repeat it here. And then they say it in Discord or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'd like to comment on that and give you the little heart icon and thank you for it. And then I go look on the video, and sometimes YouTube will even say, oh, there's one comment on the video. Which, by the way, guys, to always leave comments on the videos helps that engagement. Well, guess what? It's not there. YouTube's not even putting it in the "this has been held so you can review it" stage. Just gone. My spiel that I put on Chado's, gone. Johnny gone. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that would have been. I mean, I could speculate and I could say out loud why I think it is, but you want to talk about comments disappearing? How about my entire YouTube channel if I named the problem? I spelled out exactly what I think happened. And guys, I was not ranting. I wasn't all caps. I wasn't using the formatting where you put asterisks to make it bold and the little underlines at the end to underline it. I didn't go Alex Jones. I was like, yep, same thing happened to tabletop gaming that's happening to visual entertainment. And I just, why do you think a comment like that would disappear? Get disappeared. Would that be the right way to say it? Get disappeared? I guess we'll never know. Say, Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the boots of the fascist? So I was a little disappointed because I very plainly but passionately, no foul language. I don't think he would have deleted it. He seems like a level-headed guy. 70 million. Thank you, Praxis. That's correct. That is the correct answer. I wouldn't have get it. If somebody had said the same thing, but about from a left point of view, looking right on my YouTube comments, I would have said, I disagree with you, but that's a completely reasonable thing. That's how reasonable I was. So I know he didn't just go in and delete it. Nope, YouTube. But anyway, I'm not just ranting about Chatto. I'm telling you, call me Chatto on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. It's good stuff. I do recommend it. And tell him I sent you. I'm okay with that. But anyway. So what else have we got? So tomorrow night, again, Ricky Maru, he's going to be on the show. He's going to talk about Morkborg. We're going to have the lights going. I'm going to find out from Sky when he's going to be here. Yeah. You're definitely over the target, Praxis. And then Friday night, we're going to play a little Gamma World. Monday night, we're going to come back and we're going to descend into the depths of the earth. Tuesday night, talk a little bit more about some fun stuff and then play some more AD&D. Wednesday night, we'll just have to see what happens Wednesday night. Hopefully Kyle will be back Wednesday night and we can talk about all kinds of fun stuff. Thursday night, we'll see what's going on Thursday night. And then on into the night. So we're going to have us a fine old time. And speaking of having a fine old time, D1, it's all about the D. Speaking of having a fine old time, one of the reasons, now all of you guys are why I keep the channel going. I always feel like I have to qualify that, but all of you guys help keep the channel going, and so I do like to thank the folks who subscribe to us on both Subscribestar and Patreon. Now, I do want to mention something about Subscribestar. in case you're on Subscribestar and you don't know this, until I get 5 or more subscribers on Subscribestar, it does not auto debit your donations on Subscribestar to me. You got to go in every month and automatically donate, or it's the opposite, Bill, manually donate. Just FYI. So to that, let me say this. Thank you to Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky Maru, Mobius, Kevin Reynolds, Doomsword, who is a Death Master, I should warn you, Mark Simpson, Damien, who is at this 24/7, James F. Keck and the whole observatory, William Smith, the Dungeon Minister, thank you, Padre, Manny Wall, Mark Corey, Kevin Wood, Todd, very much the sharpest, the ever-frighteningly named Carnivore Farmer, Rob can't say that or I'll get demonetized, Gillis, Jeremy Rule, Bo Ganora, Mikey Mank, and hey, Sky Hernstrom. I think that's a first. No, because I've had a bunch of you guys on already. So anyway. So I thank you all. I thank you all for participating. I thank you for the super chats tonight, guys. And last night was lit. Last night was on fire. That was awesome. Thank you guys for super chatting last night. That was cool. But yeah, I think I'm going to go slip into a cool beer. Y'all have yourselves an absolutely wonderful evening. Thanks for sticking around tonight. I like when I saw we were getting like 17, 18, 19 people on the chat. I haven't looked at the metrics, but I can see there's 6. I almost feel bad wrapping up the show with this few people. But let me tell you something. A few more people subscribed to the channel today, so welcome to those folks. Welcome to the channel. Tell your friends. All right, just because we crossed the over 1,000, I mean, 1,000 was a goal. It was not the goal. And when we get 10,000 subs on this channel, in person, face-to-face, real convention, we'll make it happen. Oh, yes. I know it's not going to happen immediately. It may be next year or the year after before we even break 2,000. I hope it doesn't take that long. I hope we snowball. So keep telling your friends, keep telling your family, keep telling your gaming buddies all about the channel. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Winter Wolf. I enjoyed telling you about it. But click that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Click that bell icon for notification. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Give it a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Leave a comment below. I love reading your comments when YouTube lets me. You guys have an absolutely wonderful evening. Listen, I love all of you. And again, let's all thank Bo Ganora for keeping the mechanism of the convention working. Yeah, but you guys will have to pay for it. You guys will have to pay for the travel and put me up overnight or something, Dungeon Minister. Good night, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you.